we have to serve the south side of the flowage and New Post. Where the hell is New Post?
Right under the word hunter. Right under the word hunter there. Bill,
Over to your
on
right.
the south, right there.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, close enough.
We're having a difficult decision with where to dispatch here to run our full-time 24/7 ambulance out of, to cover this area. If we base that ambulance out of Winter, we have to run up and catch K. We'd have to run up and get on, run W up to K and then go in that way. Or we'd have to go up Dorshide Road and go up that way. That makes it a real problem to dispatch the ambulance out of Winter. We own a little piece of land right there on 27 and 70 in Ojibwa, with a possibility that we could build a building there.
Is that where the old post office is?
No, that's for sale. Ted Felser owns that. I was going to get to that in a moment. Right across the road from where I'm discussing. Right across the road, Ted Felser owns a little piece, and he's willing to sell that to the county. I talked to Ted. He did not quote me a price. We didn't get into it, but I did talk to Ted. Where am I here? Radisson. Radisson wants to keep it at that Radisson school. Jim reiterated something to me this morning that somebody contacted him. Dale and I and Eric were met with some very rude people who accused us of conducting an illegal meeting.
Welcome to the club.
And they wondered why we can't keep that ambulance dispatched right out of Radisson. So we're caught between a rock and a hard pad right now, deciding what the heck we want to do. We're willing to listen to anybody who talks to us in a decent tone of voice. Otherwise, Dale and I are going to walk away. We're not going to discuss anything with anybody. I don't want the leaves to turn color on the trees before we make a decision on what the hell we're going to do here. I'd like to see us keep moving ahead. We're willing to listen to anybody. We're willing to take anyone's opinion on it. But here's the predicament that we're in. We have to serve these people. And I just want you to know that Kathy McCoy told me that Round Lake borrowed $100,000 to build that ambulance garage over there. It's my feeling that these townships should kick in a little to help us on this matter. If Round Lake kicked in $100,000 to build that Round Lake ambulance building, we should get something out of one of these three places who want us, who want our services.
Well, Radisson is will be willing to give the land to the county and free sewer and water forever.
I'll call the town chairman, and I'm willing to come to the town board meeting.
Yeah, Dr. Carley.
Do you have does the committee have a recommendation?
As of this time, we don't have a recommendation on what we're doing. We're just going to proceed with caution.
I think you got to say the hell with these people and come up with what's best for the overall thing.
Yes.
Have you guys looked at call volume to see where the
Oh, yes.
majority of
Eric
the calls are
has.
from?
Well, I've done demographics, and the majority of our call volume is the south side of the flowage and around New Post. And-
Why can't Round Lake take some of that?
Well, Round Lake goes up to like Chippewa Campground. So,
As far south,
yeah, that's as far south as they go.
But their area is huge too.
They-
They
yeah.
go over there and
They go way up Clam. Yeah,
They come out of
they come off of
Moose Lake,
Highway
okay.
A, County A.
southwest of Moose Lake.
Yeah, yep. And it's we have our areas. We support everybody. And,
What's wrong with a neutral location like Ojibwa?
there's nothing wrong with
Nothing
it.
wrong with that.
Well, let's do it then.
Well, we'd have to build a building. We'd have to spend $200,000.
It's better than,
Is the county willing to spend $200,000?
We have talked with
We discussed.
Eric
it.
Larson.
We're looking at that, Fred.
from Arch Legend Architecture here in town that they did the building ambulance garage here for us. You know, they did the design for the hospital, school, and other projects in our community. So I had Eric come over, and he came over when he read about it in the paper, said, "Hey, I want to do this," and then I said, "Well, I don't want to spend any money on having you giving me numbers." And he's like, "Well, I have the old prints. Let's just put them over and do some mirroring, so you can do some material takeoffs and give me some hardcore numbers." And he came out to our meeting too, and he just emailed me yesterday that let's sit down. I have some numbers for you. We had Dennis Erickson came out that looked at, which has some history with the county, and then Tim and maintenance, which we kind of stepped on our toes there, which we should have incorporated him more into this, because he is going to be, if it does go in this direction, a very important entity in getting this completed. So restructuring wise, maybe the committee and how we're going to go about this to make sure that these people are involved. My role is give you the demographics, give you where the hot zones, and give you what I think would make the ambulance service this community in the southern corridor most effectively.
what's your feeling right now?
My feeling is, and I've always, Ojibwa, and, it's always been, Radisson and Winter. I want to get rid of the overhead because we're paying rent in both of them. I want to merge them both together. I want to have our station that's Sawyer County. It's going to cost money, but let's look at it. I mean, I'm spending $15,000 a year in rent, in overhead, one's a dump, and one's not going to. It's not going to be the future. I mean, to me,
If you remodel a 50-year-old building, you're still
we're
gonna
not
have
going
50
to. We're not going to.
50-year-old building.
It's not ours. We're not going to invest money. Nobody's going to buy it. It's a loser. If anything, we'd have to build new in Radisson.
Now,
Fred, when this committee got put together, subcommittee, I thought their job was site selection,
I did too.
site identification. That's all I thought that the orders were from this committee.
That's what we're trying to do.
Well, you shouldn't even be messing with dollars and cents. Shouldn't even be messing with it. All you have to do is come back with a place. That's a site.
If the county,
That's the only issue you would have to deal with. Go look at all of these. You outline them and stuff like that. Get back with your ambulance guy on the number game and service and stuff like that, and decide where that site is. Maybe I'm too simplistic here, but that to me is the answer.
I feel very similar to you.
Then it would be up to the committee. I understand what you're getting from the public here. Then it would be up to the committee and the board then to answer all of these dollar and cent questions.
The hell, you got to have the cojones to stand up to these guys. A bunch of prima donnas from
You wouldn't
Radisson,
have to.
from
You shouldn't have to.
Winter.
That's wrong. You shouldn't be taking that crap.
If we're going to continue this conversation here today, I'd like to get Tim Hagberg over here, because I talked to Tim afterwards, and he really, really does want to be in on this. But getting to what you're saying, Hal, if push comes to shove, I have a recommendation. Pull everything out of Radisson, quit paying rent and heat down there.
I think that's what
and
you
move
should do.
everybody temporarily to Winter, and then we work on proper site to build on and what those costs might be. But right now, according to Tim and Dennis themselves, both of them, the Radisson building is unsafe. there are mold issues, there are electrical extension cards providing electricity where there should be real wiring, and if somebody comes down with a claim, throat problems, respiratory problems, we're going to be responsible. And if we put one dime into that building, we're going to have to put everything into that building, and it's just not feasible. So I would suggest, both for safety reasons, we pull out of Radisson, and financial reasons, as you say, get rid of one cost and move over to the Winter
Fire station.
as soon as possible. And I
we
just came up with that while we're sitting here. I wasn't trying to spring
No,
anything.
no.
Okay.
We're trying to work together on this, Dale and I. And,
Well, you should
I
have
enjoy
another member
working
on
with
that
Dale.
committee.
I like working with
Dale
Dale.
Thompson.
But,
Dale Thompson.
Dale
yeah,
Thompson's
but he
on-
has never showed up at any of our meetings.
That's good thinking, as far as I'm concerned. You got something there to.
You know that we
I like
have to
the
take our
Joe
squad car, I'm sorry, we have to take our ambulances from Radisson to Winter to wash them at the fire station. We can't even wash our ambulances at Radisson.
What you do is fast tracks the construction and get it the hell over with.
We'll bring you something. We'll bring something.
Is that something, or are you- that sounds like a pretty good recommendation to me.
First thing I'm gonna do is call Ted Felser and ask Ted what he would take for that property he owns on 2770.
You don't have to deal with that. You deal with the site. Let the county board deal with the
Well, we can
costs.
get that site. We
Sure.
can have that site.
He just, Dale just made a
Didn't somebody say
recommendation.
that the county owned a site in Ojibwa?
That's
Yeah,
right, so that's, that's another,
Chris,
that's for the
We do
county. to
own
figure
one
out.
there. I'm not 100% sure it's suitable. I think you looked at it, Eric, and it might
I
be.
walked it, yep, I walked from center lines, yes, we can put a structure in there.
There's better sites,
Yes.
but we do have a free site down there, but land values are so nominal there, I wouldn't take that into consideration. A consideration might be city sewer and water. That's both an advantage and a disadvantage. I moved out of the city because as much as septic systems and wells cost, that sewer bill eats you alive. But if they're giving it away, that may be another matter. But city sewer and water are nice. They'd be critical if you were going to sprinkler a building, but I think you found out that you can, if you separate the residential from the
There's,
garage.
yeah,
We worked around it at the airport,
we're
the
gonna,
new link hangar.
yeah, those are all things that we're gonna have to, once we've made the decision, we're doing this. This is the site. Then we're gonna work on, material takeoffs and numbers, so when, like,
Okay,
Dale's-
my question, while you're talking about that, my question to Hal is, Hal, if we come up with a site like that at 27 and 70 at Ojibwa, if we come up and say, this is what we want, is the county board going to go along with putting the building up and doing that?
Well, we'll have to see.
You think they will?
That's the county board's decision.
I mean, in your opinion, do you
Some
think?
committee should be concerned with that.
I agree.
Chris?
The one thing, and I don't know how we get the money out, Tom might want to work on this too, but we very successfully used the state trust fund. Their interest rates are pretty good, and there's no loan costs, it's so easy. And you might be able to show that you can almost pay for this building by the revenues or by the expenses you save from.
Your savings.
Yeah, so I think you were looking at that, but the interest rates are pretty low. It's so easy to get those.
We're getting the cart
And,
ahead of the horse.
I was listening when Dale said something prior, and he said, I don't like the idea of all of a sudden it costs more, and I would think we need to spend a lot of material takeoffs. Let's come up with a number so that we're not all of a sudden, oh, great, we need another 50 grand. Let's spend the time, and so we can give this is the bid, this is what it's going to be, so we don't have to be going back and looking like we didn't.
Well, the one thing I do know, and I don't know if that Felser site is where the old post office used to be.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that does have an existing well and an existing septic system.
Yes. Now, the septic, because I met with Tim and Eric, they came, or Tim and Mr. Erickson, and came over to the ambulance garage, and I said, I want to know what did that thing perk for? What's the well? I want to know a history on all that. So they came over. It's a holding tank. Okay,
That's fine.
it didn't perk for a conventional flow system. The well, depending on how we're going to put the structures in there, that would we have to terminate that well and move things around? That's everything to take into consideration. How much water we're going to use going into that tank, and if we have a septic, yes, but this gets into a lot of other.
Point is, if that's the wrong site, you're not even
Yeah.
wasting your time.
Yeah.
You're absolutely wasting your time.
Or do we just start?
If it's not the site, you don't belong there.
Yeah.
Got to find the site.
And if it is Ojibwa, we draw. This is where the hot zone is.
Right.
This makes the most. Oh, let's draw a radius. Nothing's.
It's centrally located between Radis and Winter, and it's on the 27 corridor. To me, there is no other choice.
And this is another variable, that we have 2 EMTs and a medic. And a lot of calls in the southern end go to Ladysmith Hospital. You got that team on board in that ambulance. We do a lot of backfilling. When an ambulance is out, we got to maintain our security. So, when we go down Highway 27, if that ambulance garage is in that location, one EMT can jump out and now become part of another crew. Instead of me spending money by this person being in the ambulance, going there and coming back. I'm utilizing this person because you really only need one in the back for that period. Okay? So that would save me paying out wages, let's say 2 hours worth. And as time progresses, it adds up. That location. But location-wise, nothing's etched in stone that, the post office or around there. We can draw a radius and say, geez, look at this area. Here's 10 acres right over here. Half a mile away. I mean, that does perk well. That,
Dale, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to get back on track of what the original function of this subcommittee was, and that was to pick a site. We're still talking about, this site might cost this much, this site has this advantage. In the meantime, we're putting our people who are in the Radisson building at potential risks. As I said, the electrical cords, instead of regular wiring, mold issues, it's an unsafe facility. I think the sooner we move them over to the Winter Fire Station, the safer they will be.
Let's approach that. Let's come up with a site first.
No, we can't. We can come up with a site after we temporarily move them to Winter.
I disagree. Jim?
This ambulance service is excellent, and you move Radisson over to Winter, that's way on one edge. For God's sakes, this has got to be centrally located to service properly. And I am deathly against just shutting down Radisson and moving everything over to Winter without having anything centrally located.
I'm positive that with design build, we could have a building up within 3 months.
I don't think it'd take that long.
Within 3 months. And you could be right.
Warren, you're sitting over there smirking and smiling and grinning and shaking your head.
I can do that.
What's that?
I can do that. I'm really the audience.
I think he's asking for your opinion.
If it's not in Winter, you and I are going to get ridden out of there and I'm ripped.
That's
hell
what
with
it
that.
is. That's what it is.
That's
It
not
sounds
the
like it
point.
has to be in winter.
Pardon?
It sounds like it has to be in winter.
No, but that's how those people think.
It doesn't matter, Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
I'm
you've got
aware.
a bunch of prima donnas down there, and you know it.
Well, I am about servicing that area the most effectively we can as an
Well, so am
ambulance.
I.
And if it's merging these two communities together and having a facility that is in Ojibwa for Exland, go down and what is it, G to go straight across and you're in Exland, we have to think about the big picture. It's progress. We're moving into the future because we all know that we will be full-time. We have to provide a good station in the South. What we are doing right now to our EMTs and medics and how we have them there and utilizing is disgraceful. We got to up the ante. We have to provide them a professional working environment because what we are doing and how we are hanging on right now is not, it's not good.
Question, can this committee come up with recommendations if we hold a special meeting before next county board so we can move ahead on this thing? Otherwise, the snow's going to be flying, we got to figure where.
Yes, we can, can't we, Dave? They won't like it. A lot of people won't like it, but we can.
The hell with them. Chris.
I think we got to put a positive spin on this, and you did a good job of starting that. This is not a downgrade. This is a big upgrade.
Yep.
It's getting modern ambulance facility to the southern part of our county, wherever we put it, and you do want to put it in the location that best serves that area. But this is not something to see as negative. It's very positive.
Eric,
Bridget.
I don't even know if it's possible, like Birchwood ambulance covers into Sawyer County. Is it possible to talk to Birchwood, like Dale wants to move Radisson over to Winter? Is it possible to talk to Birchwood and see if they could expand their jurisdiction to help cover, and same with Stone Lake, just to help cover some of those distance issues that may come around because Radisson isn't there?
And then in location-wise, county-wise, because we are an advanced life support county. Any services, we have them go up and support as a BLS ambulance service if they are the closest, and then we come down with our advanced life support. So that gets into a state problem that, if I have mutual agreements with them, and it's Don Bergstrom is the director there, and I was just with them on Saturday, and they're struggling.
Is Birchwood a different service than
Yeah.
ours? I get calls about this.
Yeah.
Gold Cross,
That's
right?
why we get the.
No, it's Birchwood.
Oh,
It's not a
Birchwood.
Gold Cross or
I
anybody.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're struggling.
Okay, but Stone Lake is ours, and
Yeah.
their jurisdiction could be expanded to help cover.
Stone
Towards
Lake,
Madison.
That's 50% Washburn County, 50%.
yeah, because we support, Stone Lake does support into Washington too.
I just worry now that, Dale brought up a valid point. If something happens to one of the county employees at the Radisson ambulance, you guys have already identified it, you're screwed.
Well, we've known it, and I've been perseverating about it. And it's, we know we're taking the initiative. The one grace thing is that we do not require them to stay there. That's under their free will. But stop it, we know about it, we're going to correct it, and that's just Mickey Mouse stuff.
That's no defense.
It's no defense, because we know.
Allow them to stay there. It's our
Yes. And it's,
We've got to get off our hind ends.
Right.
Make a decision. And otherwise, we're going to be here a month from now still talking about this.
It sounds like it's not an easy decision.
No, it's not an easy decision.
and,
Well,
But
it
for
is
different
from,
reasons to different
following
people.
what Eric has said.
and
Identifying.
I respect what you say.
The spot is, you pretty well.
Yeah, I
identified.
respect what you say, Hal, about, we had this mission at the get-go to identify a location.
Yeah.
We've been working at that, but the way that it's structured, that any time that we get together, it's a whole public thing.
Yeah.
And, respecting the public, and they're, attacking us with all this because, they all want it.
I'll take the arrows on that.
And it's hard to
Gotta get
really
that.
work as a team when we're just continually getting sidetracked. But, I think we all understand, what we want to do and how we want to get there and decisions, but gracefully going about it to merge these communities together is kind of how we've been tipping-toeing through this.
can't tiptoe. You got to
Yeah.
wade into it, and this is the way we're going to do it, period.
And that's where we're at. And we've tiptoed long enough, so we need to make a command decision and move forward.
Chris?
And as far as that, the public coming to these meetings, there's no way we can exclude them. We shouldn't exclude them. You have to control that, though. You do not have to have their input and at a certain time. I mean, you can get that input, but we do have to put notices in whenever you meet about anything. And the only time you could meet in secret or in closed session would be if you're going to offer an individual X amount of dollars, and you might want to talk about how. But as far as site, everything's got to be at a meeting, but you do not have to. You can cut off any input from the public if it's disrupting your discussion. You don't have to listen to that.
Chris, would this work if the subcommittee would come up with a recommendation? This particular committee would have a meeting prior to the county board meeting.
Right now, we got a recommendation.
You do have a
Yes,
recommendation?
we do.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's news to me.
no, we just did it.
We just made it.
And we're in a public meeting, so
Okay,
Ojibwa.
We'll give,
okay.
It's the site.
Now,
that's the site.
what happens if we draw a circle?
My decision on Ojibwa is based upon the demographic of the ambulance runs.
This is
Good
based on
choice.
what's best for the county.
What's best for the county. Another thing, folks, I think I've said this before, but 10 years from now, we're going to regret whatever decision we make here.
I don't think so.
But we need to realize that rather than regretting it, we just need to build another barn somewhere else and continue to grow and better serve.
I think we will be making a mistake personally if we go to Ojibwa. I'll never vote for Ojibwa, never.
Based upon
Well, that's
what
you
reason?
personally, Jim.
I don't,
Based upon what reason?
well, contrary to hell, dollars and cents, centrally located. You're right on a highway,
It's all about public safety, though,
absolutely.
period.
Been worried about,
Well, then I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
If we recommend Ojibwa to the county board and they accept it, now we're going to have to hire an architectural firm and go through that whole process of getting costs together. If it turns out that the costs are just prohibitive, no matter where the money comes from, how inexpensive it is, it's like, whoa, we had no idea that we would run into this particular situation, which is going to raise our costs just through the roof. We still have the right to come back to the table and say, we need to pick another site, don't we?
I imagine we always could make a command decision about, things have changed now, we're going back to the table. We have to reserve that right.
You've got to be able to do that.
Okay, because the only way to avoid that would be to have somebody go through that whole process at all three sites. But that would be basing it on cost rather than demographics. I say we base it on demographics.
Yeah, I mean, we
Chris?
would we're making a command decision about Ojibwa. So we have to work with that, because if we look at money, we're not servicing the people about how our ambulance is going to go out. I cannot, if in winter and we have in Radisson, based on money, then we're not taking care of the citizens correctly. And I would be failing at my
That's why I
job.
say my vote, and I believe those two, is based on the demographics.
Chris?
Just a minor complication, but money is usually more than minor. I think that to borrow money, we have to get 3/4 vote of the county board or submit it to referendum. And I think if you bring good information, you're going to get that 3/4 vote. And again, otherwise I'd have to, somebody'd have to go out like I did with the jail addition and convince the public to pass a referendum. So that's, I think you can borrow the money, but you need the 3/4 vote.
if you go to Ojibwa, lights and sirens, you're 5 minutes away from Winter. You go to Coudray, you're 12 minutes, lights and sirens. You go to Exland, you're easy 18, 19 minutes, lights and sirens from Ojibwa. There is no good road. I don't care whether you drop south on 27 and cross over on D. There's hairpin turns over there that are 15 miles an hour. And if you go down 40 out of Radisson, that 40 between Exland and Radisson is just a snake.
Yeah, that's bad too.
It's a
Yeah.
rough road. You go to Ojibwa, you're going to be hurting the east end of the service area badly.
I can't see that, Jim.
Well, what, drive it. That's a
I
pretty
have.
simple.
You're looking at major transportation corridors. Ladysmith, Highway 70 runs over through Radisson, Coudray, on into Winter. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. I think we need a motion to pass this on to county board. I don't know if we go with a circle around that 2770 intersection, or if we pick out a specific site.
Well,
We've got to move forward.
well,
You got a motion?
Well, we made a recommendation.
We made a recommendation.
Okay, now it's before the full committee.
Go ahead, Dale, make the
Well, I
motion.
recommend that we accept the choice of Ojibwa as per the subcommittee that you created to make a decision.
I would second it. Discussion. All in favor?
We pretty much discussed it.
Aye.
Aye.
Well, you calling for a vote?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's hear it.
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, motion carries.
Please record that, Chris. Please.
I respect your opinion, Jim, but I don't think it's valid.
Hal just told me I'm always right. He did.
Okay, monthly vouchers.
no travel vouchers for me.
I thought you, no, I'm talking about overall.